Ball League. Oh, I love this guy.
What's your name?
You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
For the longest time, it was hard for me to even get out of the house, much less do a backside 180. It took me a bit to understand what was going on, but eventually I learned I had anxiety. Now I'm getting help for it and feeling so much better. Sure, some days are better than others, but the whole thing about getting out of the house, that's not really an issue anymore.
Mental health care is working to see what it can do for you at mentalhealthcareworks.org. A message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
1 in 4 Americans have a disability. I'm one of them. I'm also a working mom who cares deeply about making sure every child with a disability thrives by getting their access needs met. We've got a trusted ally by our side. Easter Seals provides children and families the foundation for lifelong success through early learning programs, skills training, and prep for college and career. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours. Join us at easterseals.com.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs. But it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is often laced into illicit drugs and used to make fake versions of prescription pills. You can't see it, taste it, or smell it. Suppliers mix fentanyl into their products because it's potent and cheap, and the dealer might not even know. Keep yourself and others safe by knowing the real deal on fentanyl. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome back to the Gailey Show. We are coming up on the top of the hour. So we get all the stories about the Democratic Party being in disarray. There's no clear leader. Are they resisting? Are they not resisting? You know, are they fighting? Are they not fighting? Et cetera, et cetera. But there is something that should be noted here, which is the actual voting that's happening. And before we get to the voting, I think there's a very alarming red flag for the Democrats, which is both in Pennsylvania and in Florida, where the Democratic Party is at record lows for registration. Like, they are getting wiped off the map when it comes to registering voters, which historically has been a pretty good Democratic thing here. And there have been a lot of complaints about the new Democratic Party chair, Ken Martin, that they're not registering voters and they're not fundraising. So what is, Ken doing over there? And that's a conversation for a different episode. However, in Iowa, state Senate races, Democrats flipped districts that Trump won by double digits, and they erased a week ago or 2 weeks ago. They took away the Republican supermajority in the Iowa State Senate because they flipped another one. So that's 2 races. Today we've got an election in Northern Virginia, which is to fill the seat for Representative Jerry Connolly, who died earlier this year. His chief of staff and a former chief of staff, and current Fairfax County Supervisor James Walkinshaw is heavily favored to win the district. It'll be very curious to see how many points more than Kamala he wins, because in Florida there were a couple of elections, let's see here, last week, where the Democratic candidates, even though they were in safe Democratic districts, won by much larger margins than the Harris-Walz ticket did in 2024. And we saw this earlier this year as well, where there were 2 special elections for very safe Republican districts because they were very much gerrymandered. And even though Florida says they don't have gerrymandering, and it's in their constitution supposedly, but in those races, the Democrats overperformed what they were expected to, and these were seats that usually the Democrats lose by 20 plus points, and they were only losing them by like 10 points, which was pretty significant. Now again, Florida, I think they are at a literal record low of the number of registrations that they have there for the Democratic Party. But this November are going to be two big races, the governor races in Virginia and in New Jersey. Now, on CNN, there is their chief data analyst, Harry Entom, has said that Mickey Sherrill from New Jersey, the Democratic candidate, has an 89% chance of victory. And Virginia's Democratic candidate, Abigail Spanberger, has a 94% chance of victory, which he says should be a flashing red siren, for the Republicans. And he said that, he went into the research and said that looking at data from 1989, when the same party wins in both New Jersey and Virginia's gubernatorial races, that party wins the House of Representatives 6 out of 7 times.
Yeah, I think what the Republicans are probably doing, because I think they know they're unpopular. I think they will do anything illegal or underhanded to give themselves an advantage. So in Pennsylvania, they realize this is the kind of thing Philadelphians wouldn't pay that much attention to. Retaining Supreme Court justices is sort of something that always gets low turnout. So they are registering people right, left, and upside and downside to get a numerical advantage and tear away one or two or all three of the Democrats that are up for retention. So they've put the importance on it. They've spent an enormous amount of money on it and an enormous ground game. They have many, many, many people on the ground throughout the state of Pennsylvania, and so they've made this their number one priority is to take away at least two of those seats. And we, i.e. Ken Martin and who else, are apparently sort of da-da-da. Even you were saying a little bit like, well, this is what usually happens. We're not in a time of what usually happens. This is like climate change. It doesn't matter what used to happen 40 years ago. What happens is that the Republicans are being very smart, very sharp, very dedicated, and they will take a dump truck of money and a dump truck of people and smother the state with it to try to make something improbable happen in an election nobody's paying attention to, including our leadership.
Well, the question then becomes, are Democrats going to win despite disarray if they are not registering voters at the levels that they should be, if they're not fundraising at the levels that they should be? What is going to happen here? Because it is going to be very they may get full control in Virginia in November, meaning they have the legislature and they have the governor's mansion. So
who they?
The Democrats.
They. Okay. Yes. Well, that'd be great.
We'll see.
That'd be great. I'm doing what we talked about with Vote Forward. I sent letters to people about the Pennsylvania Supreme Court race. I suggest other people do that. I suggest other people donate, as you will, and get involved and volunteer and try to overcome this disadvantage, because this will affect, I believe, the 2028 presidential election, if we have one. This race, this state, the largest swing state, you better turn your attention to it. Even if Ken Martin isn't, you better turn your attention to it as a Democrat that cares about what happens. Not you, but I mean you.
Well, yeah,
generally.
obviously, we're going to be talking a lot about elections and democracy because LGBTQ rights and our lives are at stake here in American democracy.
Indeed.
And is it going well? We will keep reporting on that. Well, thanks everyone for listening and or watching today. Up next on WCPT 820 is Choose Views with Richard Chu. On AM 950 radio, it is the Matt McNeil Show up next. Stay tuned after that for Native Roots Radio. And then at 10 p.m. Central, step into the unknown with Greg Bakken on Ghostbox Radio. You can stream our show everywhere you get your podcasts, or you can watch us at youtube.com/@TheGaileyShow, and you can connect with us on Blue Sky. We're at thegaileyshow.org on Blue Sky. Until tomorrow, keep it queer, America.
Keep it queer.
Are you looking for more in this world? Are you ready for something bigger? Then we are looking for you. The big-hearted, the bold, the messy and the gutsy, the teachers, the growers, the builders. the skilled, the sharers, the change makers. We need you. We are the Peace Corps. In more than 60 countries, we go all in and all out. We are volunteers, partners, communities, working together, living together, bringing our experience, passion, and joy to building a better world together. From tackling climate change in Mexico to keeping kids healthy in Kenya, from sustainable farming in the Philippines to education in Kosovo. We learn more, give more, share freely, and serve boldly. Are you ready to tackle the tough stuff? To go the distance to make a difference? Then we have a place where you belong. Join us at peacecorps.gov.
Listen to the Tom Hartman radio program every weekday from 11 to 2 right here on WCPT 820, where facts matter.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Skies will become mostly sunnier for today with a high in the low 80s. Winds out of the southwest around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then for tonight, partly cloudy with a low near 61. By Thursday, sunshine, a high of 82 degrees. Friday, plenty of blue skies and sun, a high of 86. Saturday, a slight chance for showers and storms, high of 88 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 66.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time on a fancy water bottle with ultra titanium alloy metal. You're not sure why you need all that. I mean, it just holds water. But you're getting it anyway. Because if you're hiking near an active volcano and you accidentally drop the bottle into molten lava, your water will still be icy cold. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time for water bottles. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820. This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Skies will become mostly sunnier for today with a high in the low 80s. Winds out of the southwest around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then for tonight, partly cloudy with a low near 61. By Thursday, sunshine, a high of 82 degrees. Friday, plenty of blue skies and sun, a high of 86. Saturday, a slight chance for showers and storms, high of 88 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 66.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time on a fancy water bottle with ultra titanium alloy metal. You're not sure why you need all that. I mean, it just holds water. But you're getting it anyway. Because if you're hiking near an active volcano and you accidentally drop the bottle into molten lava, your water will still be icy cold. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time for water bottles. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old. But I am a camping influencer. You know what? I'll bet you $5. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Good Wednesday morning, progressives. Chins up and shoulders back. Yes, it is definitely time to fight. Welcome to the September 10th, 2025 edition of Choose Views, 773-763-9278. Find my show on Facebook Live, TuneIn Radio, and YouTube. Email me, of course, at richard@wcpt820.com. Follow me on X. Follow me on Threads and Substack, Facebook, Blue Sky, Instagram, and LinkedIn. We're all over those places. And you can catch all of our shows by subscribing to our WCPT podcast on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. There you can get Choose Views, featured interviews, short versions and long versions, and Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive, Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, Out Chicago, and our other shows and interviews and all the cool stuff that we do later in the day and on the weekends and all those good times. And make sure you make your way over to heartlandsignal.com. So what's happening over there? I'm going to be going through with some commentary on this probably in the 6:30 hour on these bizarre statements from last week's National Conservatism Conference. Crazy, crazy stuff, guys. And I'll get into that a little bit later in the show. Alyssa Slotkin from Michigan, the newly elected Democratic senator from Michigan, talking about what's happened with our, how our middle class has shrunk in the last 40 plus years, almost 50 years, to be honest. So she's got some great commentary there. So make your way over, as always, so you can check out what's happening there at heartlandsignal.com. Today is Wednesday, so our good friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63 will be with us in the 7 o'clock hour. And then in the 7:30 hour, the Democratic Party chair, Anderson Clayton, will be with us, which I'm looking forward to chatting with her. She's one of the future names and voices and leaders and folks that have made a difference in a short period of time, and chronologically a young voice. So looking forward to talking with her about a lot of things that she's doing down in North Carolina, and most definitely some of the things that she sees on a national level with regards to the Democratic Party. So there you go. But right now, today we're going to talk a little bit about, we got a few things. I'm going to let you guys know about a little small contest we're going to have. And then we're going to talk a little bit about tariffs today. We have some clips that we're going to lean into in that space. And we'll probably get into a little bit of the Epstein craziness and maybe even some commentary on the CDC and our health. But right now, check this out, progressives.
There's so many ways. We're getting reports every day about how these tariffs are actually working. Donald Trump's demented notion that this was going to somehow help American manufacturing. John Deere, very important American manufacturer and equipment supplier to Minnesota farmers and farmers literally everywhere in the world. New York Times is reporting John Deere said that it's story about the way the Trump tariffs come back and hit the United States.
And did you hear the last state you just mentioned, Iowa, the very state where the incumbent Republican Senator Joni Ernst just decided not to run in? This is gutting the rural economies. And you look at those numbers, it's across the board. Manufacturing jobs have been down every month since Donald Trump announced his tariffs. And in fact, for the first time now, we see the number of unemployed people exceeding the number of job openings since the pandemic.
So that was Lawrence O'Donnell, of course, on MSNBC, and Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar. Okay, so listen, this is, again, one of those moments, and I know people are going to say something about what I say, and that's just part of the deal. But this is, again, one of those moments that people were warned. People were told, not just by the candidate at the top of the ticket, Vice President Harris. Joe Biden said it, too. So let's not forget, Joe Biden talked about how Republicans, not just Trump, were going to be a disaster for the economy across the board. It's bearing itself out, unfortunately. It sucks that this is a thing that we have to say, see, we told you. But the reality is we did. We didn't try. So jobs, numbers. What I found interesting this past couple of days is now there's this report that's come out from the Bureau of Labor Statistics about the number of jobs from April of 2024 till now are the lowest, that they adjusted the numbers to show not actual, but they've adjusted the numbers to make it look as though the numbers from the government last year were wrong when it comes to employment numbers. This is where we go back and say we can't trust the fact that the administration, that the regime put the dude in place who is a January 6th person. Okay? So, jobs, tariffs, all of these things are having a direct impact on people right now. I should say tariffs are having a direct impact on people right now. Taking away medical support systems, i.e. Medicaid, and how that will impact Medicare. Taking away a variety of other benefits for American citizens, many of which, if you think about this, have been funded based on taxes that people pay on a federal level. Okay? So, if not that this should be an exchange or a trade-off, but if we're going to pay what we're paying in federal taxes, then maybe the benefits should be there. That was the plan in the first place. If they're not going to be there, then where's the money? And this is one of the things that I mentioned. I asked this question a while ago. Where's the money going to go? Let's go back to Doge. Where's the Doge money going to go? Well, we don't know. We haven't seen any evidence that would break down where those dollars are going. Second thing, and we'll talk about this too when it comes to tariffs in the 6:30 hour when we get a chance to cover that a little bit more. But we're going to talk a little bit about tariffs today. We're going to talk a little bit about CDC, and we're going to talk a little bit about Epstein. We'll get to those things in a moment. But before we go to this break, I do, and we're a few minutes away from it, but I do want to talk a little bit about something that we're going to do that's a little bit of fun. At least I think it'll be a little bit of fun, and that's to give away some stuff. We're going to have a couple little contests today, tomorrow, and Friday. So you guys remember last week we had our guest on that is a professor, Leah Littman, and she's the author of this great new book that I'm really digging and reading and just kind of lots of wow moments when I read it. But the book is called Lawless. How, let me put my glasses on again. I had a copy in it with me the other day. How the Supreme Court runs on conservative grievance, fringe theories, and bad vibes. The book is called Lawless, and Leah Littman is the author. So I'm going to give away a copy of the book today. And in the 6:30 hour, once we open the lines, in the 6:30 hour, the first person that calls in with the answer to this question will get a copy of the book. Henry will get your information, and we'll get a copy of the book sent out to you in the next week or so. And we're going to do the same thing tomorrow and again on Friday. So what's the question? The question, my friends, is this. Where is Professor Littman a law school professor? It's a pretty easy question. So after the 6:30 hour, we'll grab the first call that has the answer correct, and we'll get a book out to you. So there you go. Can't text in your answer. You got to call it. And who knows? We may give out a second book today just because we can do that. We've got a few. But I wanted to get that to you guys, and hopefully we'll have some answers to that question. All right. I said this last week, and I'm back to saying it again because I told you I would. This is the craziness that's going on, and the Epstein files things just keeps brewing and brewing and brewing. But this craziness is most definitely in the laps of the GOP, MAGA, and the folks that want to try to give excuse to the Republican Party. There are no excuses at all right now. And it's our responsibility, though, as progressive liberal Democrats, to hold them accountable. It has to be part see, the question, I was asked this question earlier in the week. I think it was Monday by Pam. It may have been yesterday. So I may get that wrong. But the point I want to make, which is incredibly important that we all draw from this, right now, many people have said, and Pam asked the question, Richard, who is it that you think is the leader of the Democratic Party, and what does the Democratic Party stand for? I've said that I don't know the answer to the first part in terms of the leader of, but what the Democratic Party should be standing for is fighting back on every single front. If you lay out 10 issues right now, we should be fighting back on every single one of them. I've got a report that I'm going to go through over the next couple of days and hopefully be able to present some thoughts to you guys with this next week in terms of Project 2025. But we have to fight on all fronts. And what that takes is not a singular voice, a person that is the leader. I know that it's been the way that we've been for years in this country. There's a person that's the head of the party. And, that, excuse me, that is something that we've grown accustomed to. It's something that's part of how we've built up our political system. But I think right now what we've got to be careful of is it being that we repeat that again. We wait for that golden person to evolve and be the singular, be the voice. I know that when we get into elections, and it happens in every election, there is the candidate that's running for the office, okay, whatever that might be. But right now, we can't just look for the person to ride in on his or her, horse, white horse, whatever. Black horse, I'm going to say. Blended horse. We can't wait for that. I think it's a mistake for us to do that. And so when I look at where we are and where the faults lie, Republicans, the GOP, they're at fault for what's being implemented right now. We have to talk about this every day and be reminded of it, because if we don't, then what will happen is the narrative will shift. And they're trying really hard to do it now. The narrative will shift to make it seem as though it's the Democrats' fault. Okay? And that's not the case. And when you look at some of the things and that's why I recommend you guys go to heartlandsignal.com. When you look at some of the things that are happening on a state basis, and yes, we're winning elections. We just had Caitlin Dre on with us on Monday about winning the state senator seat in Iowa. But when you look at some of the things that are happening that are being said by state legislators in red states, it's not on us, y'all. It's not us. It's them. Some of the craven things that are coming out of their mouths would shock you, and that's why I want you to go to Heartland Signal to check those things out. But let's take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM in Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
This is WCPT telling you how you can shop blue. Thomas Edison invented the first light bulb, but however, did you guys know that Lewis Howard Latimer, a black man, improved upon it? That's right. Latimer's light bulb was made to last longer than Edison's. Latimer later sold that light bulb to the U.S. Electric Company in 1881, making light bulbs more accessible and affordable to the community. Here are some light bulb companies that support the Democratic Party. Philips Light Bulbs. Philips supports the Democratic Party very highly. In 2024, Philips donated over $400,000 to Democratic candidates in 2024. GE, General Electric. GE roughly is about 50-50 split with candidates they donate to. In 2024, 54% of GE's donations went to the Democratic Party, including $159,000 to Vice President Kamala Harris's presidential campaign. Hey, you guys want to hear a joke? How many Republicans does it take to change a light bulb? None! Donald Trump just says it's fixed and they all sit in the dark and applaud. This has been WCPT telling you how you can shop blue.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chu.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. Thanks for being with us this morning. It's September 10th, 2025, and we'll mosey over for a couple of quick items from Choose Views News this morning. Payrolls revision wipes 900,000 jobs. This is what I was talking about earlier. The U.S. added about half as many jobs as originally estimated in the year through March, according to the revision likely to strengthen the case for interest rate cuts. The Labor Department said yesterday the number of Americans on payrolls is estimated to have been 910,000 fewer than originally thought, a discount exceeding one last year of 818,000. Final figures are due in March. The Federal Reserve, which has already expressed its concern about the labor market, is widely expected to begin lowering borrowing costs again next week. This is one of those things where I believe that the manipulation of the numbers is upon us. And it's coming from where? Trump. It's coming from the administration, because they need to show, they want to be able to say, Biden's numbers were bad, my numbers are better, and this is what's in part behind this story. Okay. Long-term stock exchange, the long-term stock exchange, what's happening there? A trading forum for businesses eyeing long-term goals. And this is why I look at this in conjunction with the jobs numbers. They intend to petition the Securities and Exchange Commission, and this is important, guys, to eliminate quarterly earnings reports as a requirement for public companies in favor of a twice annual disclosure. The change, the LTSE says, would save businesses money and encourage more companies to go public. Donald Trump, for his part, considered the idea during his first term. The SEC leadership, meanwhile, has demonstrated interest in relaxing regulation. Sound familiar? Sound GOP-ish? Earnings reports have been federally mandated on a quarterly basis since 1970. I'd like to know what you guys think. I've got some additional data and research that I pulled on this that we're going to talk a little bit about. But I'd like to hear from you guys in terms of companies not having to give and provide quarterly earnings reports and going to a twice annual disclosure. Okay, Target rejoins the RTO surge this month. A surge in commuting has commenced as returns to offices become bigger policies, of course, throughout the United States. A case in point is Target's all-company meetings in downtown Minneapolis, an event bringing employees to work, quote, and aimed at reviving the businesses around its headquarters, bringing people back into the office. It coincides with the mandate for Target's corporate employees nationally and with similar initiatives at companies including Walmart and Amazon, which now requires workers in offices 5 days a week. Separately, Target reported a seventh straight month of declining foot traffic amid boycotts. So I think that's really what's at the core of this conversation about the RTO. But I could be wrong. Apple, if you're an Apple person, you may know this already, but they are debuting a new iPhone 17 Air. Apple CEO Tim Cook teased the, quote, biggest leap ever for iPhone at the start of the tech giant's product launch event yesterday. The leap is Apple's iPhone 17 lineup, including a new ultra-thin iPhone 17 Air. Other major product announcements include third-generation AirPods Pro with heart tracking technology, as well as an upgraded number of Apple Watches with 24-hour battery life that detect hypertension and evaluate sleep quality. As expected, Apple is leaning on new hardware, with artificial intelligence taking more of a backseat compared to its rivals. So there you go. A couple of quick items from Choose Views News this morning. I want to hear what you guys have to say. You can call with this or you can text us. I really do want to know what you have to say about quarterly earnings reports being changed to twice annual. I'll tell you I guess you could say it's my opinion, but a little bit of my observation, research, and knowing what I know as a financial advisor. The benefit they want to place in this conversation is that it will save companies money because they don't have to do the quarterly reports take time and okay. It's being put out there, or will be put out there when proposed by the long-term stock exchange as a tool to save money and encourage more companies to go public. Okay, the jury is still out on that because that is not necessarily one of the reasons that companies are going to use their resources to go public or not. It's valuation, and the valuation is oftentimes better read when you have more transparency. So the less amount of transparency may in fact be a devaluation, may cause devaluation, because individual investors are going to be less likely to invest because they don't know what they'd like to know about certain companies. It will see there could be a spike in private money or institutional money. So I don't want to get too deep in the weeds about financial matters and investing, because that's not the deal here. But my challenge with it is that the lack of transparency, or that frequency being reduced down to twice annually, will I think can be problematic, because we won't have a chance to see what companies are hiding. Okay. And this is, again, relaxing regulation. Regulation has its value. It's important because it allows us to keep the car on the road. Maybe do a better job within the management of the company rather than relaxing a requirement so that they can do what? Is that going to make them more efficient? Again, I go back to, so if there's a savings of money, where's the money going to go? Is it going to go to the top? Is it going to go to shareholder value, or is it going to go to the employees that work for the companies that could use an increase in their compensation? So this is the kind of thing where I want thinking people to think. This is not something that we want to see happen. In my observation, I do not think it's going to cause more companies to go public. Encourage more companies to go public. No, it's a nice way to kind of say, look over here, America. But then we're going to reduce regulations, which means that here's the other thing that can happen is it's then a question of where is the investment money coming from, that institutional investment money. And at some point, it could create a situation where it could block out individual investors in companies that are public if they don't have to report as often. Because basically, let's be honest, they don't want, Aunt Sarah and Uncle Johnny rolling into a shareholder meeting. They want to reduce that as much as possible. They being companies that would get behind this. And the long-term stock exchange is going to be the ones that make this petition to the Securities and Exchange Commission. And we know who's over at the SEC. So I'm not a fan of it. I don't trust where it will take us, and be prepared to start to raise your voices on this, because this is one that I think can be problematic for a lot of people. In the 6:30 hour, we're going to talk a little bit about tariffs. We're going to talk a little bit about and there's a little bit of conjunction or connective tissue between the story about quarterly earnings being reduced down to twice annual, and what I'm going to talk about when it comes to tariffs and big companies. And I've been putting some thoughts to this for a couple of days now, and I want to kind of highlight that when we get a chance. And we'll do that in the 6:30 hour. All right, today on Live, Local, and Progressive, Joan Esposito's guests are Sarah Burry, Democratic candidate for the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District; Lee Bay, architect critic for the Chicago Sun-Times; and Casey Babb, director of the Promised Land Project with the McDonald-Laurier Institute, and an international fellow at the Institute for National Security Studies in Tel Aviv. That's Live, Local, and Progressive, weekdays 2 to 5, Central Time on WCPT and heartlandsignal.com, as well as TuneIn. Tonight on Driving It Home, Patty Vasquez will be joined by co-host Jaime De Leon, and their guests are Warren Hawk Price and Peter Sorrellis of Source Solar. Comedian Paula Poundstone, she performs at the North Shore Center for the Performing Arts in Skokie on September 27th. Patty will be giving away a few tickets, a pair of tickets for the show. That's Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, weekdays 5 to 7 p.m., WCPT AM 820, the Heartland Signal website, TuneIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And then tomorrow on the show, comedian and author John Fugelsang will be joining us, and journalist and author Tremaine Lee will also join me Friday. You know who it is. Friday will be with Karen Byrne from True Blue Politics Podcast, Michelle Peltier, A Moments with Michelle, and historian Michelle Duster. Michelle's going to be with us on a regular basis, which I'm really, really excited about. And she's so well versed in historical issues, particularly in the African American community, but America in general. So it'll be great to have all those folks with us the next couple of days. But right now, we're going to take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM, and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Constipation with belly pain that keeps coming back and back and back. If your symptoms keep coming back, talk to your doctor. It could be irritable bowel syndrome with constipation or IBS-C. Linzess could help you get ahead of it. Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Skies will become mostly sunnier for today with a high in the low 80s. Winds out of the southwest around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then for tonight, partly cloudy with a low near 61. By Thursday, sunshine, a high of 82 degrees. Friday, plenty of blue skies and sun, a high of 86. Saturday, a slight chance for showers and storms, high of 88 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 64.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chu.
All right, guys, welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. Let's grab a quick call. I think it's Brian from Chicago. Hey, Brian, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning.
Are you there? I can kind of hear you.
Sorry, I had I think I had my radio up turned up too loud. Anyway.
It's okay. What's going on there?
I was calling. Well, I heard your comments about that proposed change in reporting, and I agree with what you're saying, but I do think there's a possible benefit, and that's that a lot of companies with the hyper-focus on quarterly earnings, they make some good short-term decisions to make the numbers look better that aren't necessarily in the best interest over the long term.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you on that. That's why I was careful as I treaded through that. I like the transparency, but I also know what you're talking about. They're so concerned about, we got to get this report out. We got to generate a good report. We got to make sure shareholders are happy. And that's the part where I understand that. So I don't know what the solution. I don't know if the solution is going to a twice annual report or not. But I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, I agree with you. I definitely think we need to have better, oversight, and obviously current climate is not going in that direction. So I'm with you on that. But that has been a problem for a long time with that hyper focus on those quarterly numbers. I work for a publicly traded company. I've got friends who do. We've all seen times where it's like, yeah, they just kind of put that together to hit the mark. You know what I mean?
I do. So. I totally do. And that's why, again, this is what I think should happen in this space, Brian. Let us get your thoughts on this, too. This is kind of one of those things that they should road test it. I mean, I'm happy to be wrong. If it's going to allow companies to have actually better performance and reporting that's going to be better for all, then I'll be wrong if that means it's better for shareholders and better for employees. But if it's going to be a thing that's going to save money, then that money shouldn't go to the top. That money needs to go down through the system. It needs to go to the folks that make that engine run. So how do we road test it to see if twice annual is better than quarterly? I think that's what I would want to encourage this conversation to have in those meetings. Let's see what what it looks like, or road test what it could look like. And I know that's kind of hard to do because it's a moving train, but that's kind of where my brain is.
Yeah. No, I'm 100% with you on that. That makes a ton of sense if they could figure out a way to kind of maybe even just like a temporary, like, all right, we're going to try it one quarter or something like that. But
right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
Transparency is important. I think it has to be there. And so maybe they could. Okay, so let's you and I, who I think are both fair-minded guys, let's try to find a way to split the difference and find a meeting in the middle. Maybe it could be done on a every number of days. So rather than quarterly, which may have been a problem in terms of the acceleration that's needed to report, like you said, so quickly, or and versus going to twice annual, maybe they could do it where they could split the year. Like, I hate to say it this way, but almost like a trimester report, where it takes a little bit of both. So there's still the transparency there, but then there's also the possibility of savings. And if it actually would, encourage more companies to go public. Let's find them.
Yeah, no, I like that idea. To me, it just seems like I think you need to have good oversight, but maybe not all of that needs to go public every quarter. You know what I mean? Like, have sort of an internal review. Maybe, I don't know if it's every company every quarter, or if they spot check it, or do something to help make sure people are staying on the right path. These companies are doing the right thing, but in terms of hitting a particular profit margin or that sort of thing, I mean, there's so many layers to this stuff, and I'm sure, I think you talked about it with United Health when after their CEO was assassinated, they actually, coincidentally or not, got better about about their claims, and
they did,
and then they got sued by their largest investor for paying too many claims, which is just outrageous to me. But
that's what they're in the
anyway.
Brian, last time you and I checked, that's what they're in the business for, right? Paying claims.
Well, apparently. Yeah, exactly. You would think they'd want to pay those claims, but obviously when they're answering to the shareholders, they really don't want to.
Yeah, so, that's even part of the bigger conversation of our insurance system in that space. So, yeah.
Fair. Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, I appreciate you having me on. You're doing a great job. I love the show, so keep up the great work.
I will keep working hard, Brian. I promise you that. Have a great day. Stay safe, okay?
All right, you too. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. My man Brian giving us a call early this morning. Listen, I you guys know this by now. I don't mind being wrong there. If it's a better way to go, great, but we need to see it first. Because my concern is when there's less regulation in the markets and how the markets are performing. We've been down that path before. Don't want to go down that path again because I think it could be devastating. So, but he makes a good point. There's some possible upside, and so Brian and I just solved it by saying let's split the difference. Let's do it on a third year basis. Every 100 and 18-ish days. I think my math is close to that in terms of dividing 360 or by 3, something like that. So let's try that. It doesn't have to be on an exact date, but if we say we're going to do it these three times of the year, then that will give a little bit of a balance. I'll be doggone. Maybe we just solved it, Henry. Maybe we need to put this together and send it to the folks at the SEC and all the rest. But transparency still got to be important. So let's talk a little bit about something that's a concern of mine. And by the way, the contest is still rolling. I said after 6:30 we'd take your calls. We're giving away a copy of Professor Leah Lippman's book, Lawless. And the person, whoever calls with the answer to this question, and that is, where does and is she a professor of law? What school? Let us know. We'll get a book to you. All right. So, 2 things. One, I mentioned earlier from Heartland, the little thing I wanted to mention and comment on are these bizarre statements. So you guys got to check this out. There were 5, and we posted this at HeartlandSignal.com. It's an article that you guys should check out, and I think it's phenomenal in just terms of the quick highlighting. Last week, there was this National Conservatism Conference that was it's called NatCon in Washington, D.C., and there were some bizarre and inflammatory statements that I just want to give you guys some quick highlights on because kind of craziness. Just stay with me for a second on this one. The first one comes from Eric Schmidt, and it's deemed in the article the colonizer rant. Eric Schmidt is a Republican senator from Missouri. And this dude got a standing ovation when he said the following, and I'm giving you the edited version, that the United States of America is the property of a distinct ethnic people. Schmidt argued that America belongs to the descendants of English, Scottish, Irish, and continental Europeans. Okay. I'm just going to say this. Well, let me read the rest of it. Quote, they believe they can build a new America with new myths of a new people, according to Schmidt. But America doesn't belong to them. It belongs to us. It's our home. It's a heritage entrusted to us by our ancestors. It's a way of life that is ours and only ours. If we disappear, then America, too, will cease to exist. Okay, so every person that's of color, LGBTQ, in the state of Missouri, y'all need to get your act together and vote this fool out. The head of the DNC in the state of Missouri needs to get people registered off. They need to be working their behinds off to get more people registered in the state of Missouri and get him voted out. Because that's some of the most racist, biased garbage. This is our country, our ancestors, our heritage. Really? I think the folks that we label, and I say sometimes incorrectly, Native Americans might have something to say about that. For starters. Okay? For starters. And then the folks who were enslaved well before some of the English, Scottish, Irish, and continental Europeans came to the country as immigrants that were here as enslaved people might have something to say because they've been here longer. Okay? They've been here. Both of those sets of people have been here longer. And our Asian brothers and sisters who were integral in developing this country got something to say about that, as do so many other people from across the globe. So what this knucklehead is saying, and God, I hope I don't see him in an airport, is that this should be a white country, white European country. He's just saying it. You know, the Supreme Court said, the six suckers on the Supreme Court said that it's okay to racially profile, to arrest people, but it's not okay to have race or culture be part of determining certain a college enrollment. See the difference there? And so Clarence Thomas is not black. He's wearing a black costume. So the five plus him made race a factor when it comes to arresting people, but not when it comes to educating people. This fool, Eric Schmidt, senator in Missouri, U.S. senator, by the way, not state senator, says that this is our country, our culture. Wow. That's one of them. I got so much more to say about that. I got to get through the other four. Yoram Hazony says, quote, the left and the right hate Jewish people. I mean, what? The Israeli-American philosopher Yoram Hazony, author of the book called The Virtue of Nationalism, claims that liberals are in the rabbit hole of hating Jewish people. He has downplayed the right's anti-Semitism, ignoring Nazism. I dare say it was both Democrats and Republicans, but it was a Democratic president that made certain that those who were in concentration camps were liberated. And we had a Democratic president that led the charge. So that's a little bit off the rails. Yeah, that's one of them. Political commentator Tom Klinkstein's warmongering. Check this one out. During a speech during this event, he said that a war with China is on the horizon, but American children will be willing to fight in it because they're being taught the history of slavery. And what the hell is that all about? William Wolfe wants to put Protestant commentators in camps. William Wolfe, the founder of the Center for Baptist Leadership, argued that liberal Protestant political commentators have been taught the wrong things. He then advocated for rounding them up in camps and quote, re-educating them. First of all, what is it with this sort of alt-right, off-the-rails, racist white dudes in America that have this thing about putting people in camps? I mean, for those out there who are saying I'm being racist, okay, fine, go kiss your grandmother. Because that's the truth. Look at the results. Don't listen to me. Look at the results. You got guys out there running around talking about, let's put people in camps, re-educate them. Really? Re-educate them to what? Your ideology? And so, for me, I just sit back and laugh at this, but I don't laugh out of irresponsibility. I know these people are off the damn rails. I'll give you one more, and then we're going to hit a quick break. Harmeet Dillon gets applause for getting 200 civil rights lawyers to resign. Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, Harmeet Dillon, garnered applause during the NatCon speech. Dillon revealed that when lawyers in her division asked what their priorities would be, she copied and pasted President Trump's relevant executive orders and said, "These are our priorities." She expressed pride and then indicated that over 200 civil rights lawyers tendered their resignations. They're off the rails, y'all. They're driven. They have just driven way, 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 way into the abyss. They just have. There's no two ways about it. Let's take a quick break. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
WCPT replay.
We have been blessed this morning to have Texas House Representative Trey Martinez with us. This is Trey Fisher Martinez from District 116.
The one thing that we need to know and be very, very clear about is Republicans, they are not afraid to use their power. They get power, they use it. Oftentimes with Democrats, we have a debate between the perfect and the good, right? Right. And we have to get out of that mindset, right? I mean, for anybody in Illinois that thinks that things aren't going the right way with this leadership, come stay with me for 2 weeks. Come follow me around for 2 weeks, and let's see who got the better deal. I mean, what the country is seeing today, Texas has been experiencing for 30 years. And so, let's be careful about how we define our Democratic leaders, because they are far above and beyond better than the other teams.
Keep listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter. This is WCPT 820, where facts matter. Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chu.
All right, guys, we are back. Thanks for being with us this morning in this September 10th, 2025. Well, so Henry tells me that we may have someone that might be a winner to our contest. Good morning, Gabe. Welcome to Choose Views.
Hey, good morning. How's it going?
Good. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing pretty good, thanks.
It's my understanding that you may have the answer to our contest about Professor Littman, who's written a book that we mentioned earlier, and I was told that we might want to take your call because you may know where Professor Littman teaches.
So if it's Professor Littman that I'm thinking about,
that wrote the book
also
Lawless,
referred to as Leah Littman.
Leah Littman?
Yeah, she the University of Michigan Law School.
Yes, give him the applause button, Henry. There you go. Right on. Yes, Gabe.
Thank you.
Yes, he's a professor of law at the University of Michigan Law School, and we are speaking of Professor Littman, who we had on last week, talking about the Supreme Court and her book, which I'm telling you, Gabe, you're going to enjoy. I've kind of peeled it open, and I've been reading it a little bit by every couple of days. It's a really good read, and we want to get a copy of it to you. So Henry's going to put you back on hold and grab your information so that we can get a copy of it sent out to you. That sound okay?
That sounds great. Thank you very much.
Great. Gabe, thanks for listening. We'll get a copy of the book out to you in the next week or so, and you stay safe out there, okay?
Thanks, you too.
All right, bye now. All right, kudos to Gabe. Yes, going to get a copy of Professor Lippman's book. She is a professor of law at the University of Michigan Law School, and the book is called Lawless: How the Supreme Court Runs on Conservative Grievance, Fringe Theories, and Bad Vibes. So we'll get a copy to Gabe, and then tomorrow we're going to have another little contest, and we'll give away another book. All right, I made a promise to you guys, or at least I put it out there that we're going to talk about this. Okay, tariffs and businesses that are struggling. So one of the things that can be concerning when we see a certain amount, we see what I might call a concerted effort, is what's on the other side of that effort. So what am I talking about? Just stay with me and think about this for a moment. Tariffs right now have, and Pam said it, and a number of you have said it to me in one way or another, they're a tax. They're a tax on consumers. And I know that there's business heads out there that want to try to pretend like it's not, it's designed for I understand how tariffs work. And in this case, they are a tax on consumers. But they're also a burden on businesses because they don't have the ability to more effectively plan. And because of that inability to more effectively plan puts them in a situation where, when I was just talking with Brian, if they're a public company and they've got reporting to do, that changes the game there. Whether the reporting is quarterly, every third of the year or on a twice annual. So it puts an extra burden on companies. But I'm going to put something out here that I think might be, on the other side of the curtain with this. And it really hit me the other day when I was listening to the number of farmers asking for some form of help, and the number of businesses that are teetering, frankly. And this is what I'm thinking is. But this was even highlighted more when I heard about the investments that Trump and Vance made in a couple of companies that are in the farming business indirectly. And is the game right now to see these companies, particularly those that are in farming, in the farming industry, because one of the things that this administration, the regime, more specifically the people behind Project 2025, want to do is to reacquire land. Henry, they want to be able to take back land and property, and they've gotten really good at it quietly. But when I heard this the other day, I thought, you know what? Are the hedge funds and other distressed investors pushing the administration to have these tariffs and have the inconsistency be there as a mechanism, as a tool to kind of drill down some of the businesses, make them less valuable to the point where they are in distress, they're sold at distress, and then these hedge funds and other very wealthy individuals will come in and scoop up, like many of them did during the recession in 2008 and 9. So we suppress the value. Those who have a lot of money come in, they scoop up what's there on the table, and then they pump up the value again to increase their wealth. It's not the first time it's happened. And I wonder now if, and listen, my brain does this because I think, what if, or is there a possibility? And so I started to do a little bit of tinkering around and looking around, and there are, I should say, businesses, and particularly hedge funds and the others that are looking for distressed investment opportunities that are targeting specific sectors. And one of those sectors happens to be, in part, industrial. The other happens to be what? Agriculture. So one could surmise that it's in the sauce to distress these businesses with tariffs so that it provides distressed investors an opportunity to come in and scoop up distressed businesses that they can then turn around and reprofitize. Or if it's land related as it relates to farming, to be able to take that land and use it for other development. And this is the third one. This one is a really craven thought that went through my brain, but I'll share it with you. No embarrassment here. As it relates to drilling for oil. Get the farmers out of the way. For what purpose? To be able to have that land to openly drill for oil. And I know that not every area is necessarily an area that would be prudent for drilling. But, my craven brain says, who knows? Is it a possible thing that's happening? I don't know. Don't have an answer to that. But I do see some evidence that's pointing in this direction that they want to come in and scoop up broken down companies and reprofitize them. So we'll see where that's headed. But that's one of the things I wanted to throw out as it relates to why tariffs are becoming more popular with certain business, particularly hedge fund companies. So we'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep bringing you whatever information we find that's credible in that area, because I think that these shifts in certain sectors, or I should say the shift toward driving down the value of certain businesses in certain sectors, it's not an accident. Because you got to think about it. At some point, you would want to listen to your consumer. You want to listen to your voter. And when they're telling you that they've got the proverbial foot on their neck with the tariffs, and you're not doing anything to ease that, and you could easily affect that by backing off of the tariffs in certain certain sectors, and they're not doing it, that should tell you something. And this is a part of the playbook, indirectly part of the playbook of Project 2025. Reduce and take over. They're doing it. They want to do it with population as well. So, all right, guys, just went down that path. I wanted to just put it out there, see what you think, and I still also would like to hear what you guys have to say regarding the possibility of companies reporting on a twice annual versus a quarterly basis. So give us a call. We're going to take a break. It's top of the hour. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Check up on health with Chris Whitting.
Heart health has become a highly profitable business. Dr. John Santa, director of the Health Rating Center for Consumer Reports, says you should be skeptical of the growing wave of cardiac tests and treatments that are being marketed to aging baby boomers.
Regular EKGs, stress test done again as a regular preventive test, not a good test. Ultrasounds of the blood vessels in the neck or the abdomen, CT angiograms of the heart blood vessels. It's expensive, exposes you to radiation, but most worrisome, it can suggest to a doctor that you need some kind of treatment that we don't know will be helpful to you and could be risky.
And the heart health tests that Dr. Santa does recommend?
High blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes. Those tests are terrific. Folks need to be doing something about them if they're positive.
With Checkup on Health, I'm Chris Whitting.
You've still got it, but your immune system weakens as you age, making it hard to fight the flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Sponsored by Pfizer.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. The man accused of killing a young Ukrainian woman in Charlotte faces new charges.
The Justice Department has now charged DeCarlos Brown Jr. with the fatal stabbing of a Ukrainian refugee, 23-year-old Irina Zarutska, last month as she sat on a train in Charlotte. North Carolina prosecutors have charged him with first-degree murder. The United States Attorney for the Western District of North Carolina, Russ Ferguson, now has announced that Brown now also faces a federal charge of causing death on a mass transportation system.
The charge we are bringing is in Title 18, which is the criminal code. It's Section 1992A7, which is the law that Congress passed really for this situation. It is an act of violence on a mass transportation system.
Ferguson says that people should feel safe on public transit and hinted that more federal action may be in the works.
We built a city that people want to live in, but we can lose that all if we allow violent crime like this to go on in our streets. And I'm here to tell you, the federal government is going to save our city from that.
I'm Lisa Dwyer.
And a South Korean charter plane left for the U.S. today to bring back workers detained in an immigration raid in the state of Georgia. A total of 475 workers were rounded up during an immigration raid in a Hyundai battery factory last week. More than 300 of them were South Koreans. The European Commission president says she'll seek sanctions and a partial trade suspension against Israel over the war in Gaza. This comes after an Israeli attack yesterday hit Hamas headquarters in Doha, Qatar. The strike targeted Hamas leaders as they considered a U.S. proposal for a Gaza Strip ceasefire. The Palestinian militant group says 5 lower-level members were killed. And Poland says Russian drones violated Poland's airspace during an attack on Ukraine earlier today. Polish and NATO forces shot the drones down. This is AP News. Apple's iPhone 17 lineup is here. Some analysts speculated there would be a price increase on the iPhones due to President Trump's tariffs. But for the most part, Apple is sticking with the same price tags. In sports, basketball's biggest modern icon is using his pen to increase the sport's reach in China.
I feel confident because I'm the best player in the world.
LeBron James has used basketball diplomacy to connect fans in the U.S. and China. The NBA star wrote an op-ed in Chinese state media emphasizing basketball as a, quote, bridge. This follows his first visit to China since 2019. The op-ed appeared in Monday's People's Daily newspaper. The Hong Kong-based South China Morning Post newspaper noted it's rare for China's state media to carry the bylines of foreign sports stars. James was in China ahead of NBA preseason games in Macau next month. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
And I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Skies will become mostly sunny here for today with a high in the low 80s. Winds out of the southwest around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then for tonight, partly cloudy with a low near 61. By Thursday, sunshine, a high of 82 degrees. Friday, plenty of blue skies and sun, a high of 86. Saturday, a slight chance for showers and storms, high of 88 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 66.
Save big on everything for your next project when you shop at Menards. Update your home's exterior with new gutters. They're essential for controlling rainwater runoff. White, black, and brown aluminum gutters are in stock and ready to take home today. Aluminum gutters are on sale now in store and on Menards.com. Plus, check out the weekly flyer to view all our great deals happening this week.
Save big money at Menards.
You're listening to WCPT 820, because facts matter.
This is Choose Views with Richard Chu.
I'm doing a criminal investigation into some of your staff. Essentially, the librarians are my suspects.
Have you a real love of people, books, and learning? You may well consider the vocation of a librarian.
It didn't dawn on us that we would come under attack.
The word I have on my heart is repentance. We have librarians who are misunderstanding what is healthy and good for children.
When I was first attacked,
student's mother was calling me a pornographer, pedophile, and groomer of children.
This, do not interrupt my time.
That was my office. These are 2 books that I was asked to be removed, and I would not remove them.
We're going to pull books off the shelves. Stamp. Color purple.
Yep, there's your nudity right there.
Get rid of them. Get rid of them.
This book was banned.
I would like to know how the history of the KKK is pornographic.
We have a movement within America that has decided that school boards are now where they want to push their agenda.
This stuff is coming into your schools, and it's probably already there.
Part of the ethics of our profession to support the First Amendment and fight censorship.
That is a clip from a film that's coming out on October 3rd, The Librarians. And my man Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63 is with us this morning. Good morning, Kurt. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Richard. How are you doing today, buddy?
Doing great. When I saw you posted this, I thought we got to talk a little bit about this, and so yeah. So the clip that you guys heard is from this film that's coming out October 3rd called The Librarians. And from what I can see, from what Cliff, listen to me doing it again, what Kurt posted, you can go to thelibrariansfilm.com and see what Kurt posted regarding this. Oh my goodness, this is I can't wait to see this. And
yeah, I can't either.
When you posted that, I thought I wasn't even aware that this was out there. So that's why you got to pay attention to what Kurt Mullett posts at Hoosier Blue 63, because you'll get informed when you don't expect it to be coming your way. But this thing looks haunting, and the depiction that I saw in this short clip. But my goodness,
yeah, it is haunting, and I'd like to take credit and say that, hey, I'm the smartest guy on the internet and I find everything, but this was sent to me by somebody that is a follower of my page, so I have to give credit where credit is due. But this is what fascists do. This is the same thing Hitler did, and all fascists do, and dictators.
Yeah,
banning books and keeping information from the public are some of the first steps they do, whether they be statistics or books or education or whatever. They dumb down society.
Yeah, without a doubt. What is it that Trump said years ago? I love the uneducated. I think I'm quoting that correctly. And we clearly have a lot of folks that are following this lack of education and you know what's interesting? I don't know if you heard me when I read the those 5 disturbing things that were at last week's National Conservatism Conference. Someone sent me a text, Kurt, saying that these are the types of things that lead to a civil war or lead to true disruptions in the street, because individuals start to go after each other in a way that is I guess fired up by people making these kinds of statements at different events. But wow. Bizarre statements is probably a light way of putting it, but it was one of the things that we posted over at heartlandsignal.com. But thank you for putting that out there about this movie, because, I definitely want to see it. I think it's one of those things that you don't want to make the assumption that you know everything that it's going to be about. Maybe as we get closer to it, we can make a connection with the people who've put that together.
I don't think people realize exactly what banning books, what the meaning that carries, and what that really what it really means. Because we know some of the stuff that they're banning is just absolutely ridiculous. And of course, then I had a MAGA minion comment on my post saying that Democrats are the ones that ban books. They banned the Bible more than any other book that's ever been banned. And I'm like, what? Where are you coming from? We don't ban books. And besides, the Bible, I mean...
What about separation of church and state? Yeah.
Yeah. But when people say that, it's like... And I don't want to offend anyone, okay? Please. But the Bible, which form of the Bible are you talking about?
That's right.
Which version of the Bible are you talking about? Which interpretation of the Bible are, the one thing that's true about the Bible, it is the most rewritten book ever in the history of mankind. It has been edited and rewritten more than any other book in the history of mankind, period. So, but anyway, that's what we have been fighting against, and what we continue to fight against is just and you got to hand it to Republicans, man. They get on something and they just don't shut up. They all repeat the same story over and over again. And I've made a couple reels this week about some of the things like Stephen Miller talking about the jobs and things, and how Republicans do that. That's what they do. I mean, it's just like the meme that came out, the Apocalypse Now meme that he shared. Gosh. And, I just made a podcast about, he's the warmonger. He's the dude that thrives on war. And we heard, how long have we heard the no new wars president, they blamed Ukraine and Gaza on Joe Biden. I mean, but they won't shut up about it. I mean, and if you dig into the facts, it's alarming the difference, just like drone strikes that Obama used. It's amazing the escalation that the felon took them to. I mean, it's...
No, it's the truth, man. And I every week when I think about, our segment, one of the things that makes me chuckle is it's like, I want to make sure that, we give you the moment to just get it out, because I know when I
appreciate that.
And I say it lovingly and respectfully because, listen, you guys, you need to check out Kurt's stuff on Hoosier Blue 63. If you haven't by now, it's been over a year that we've been working together. You need to, because the reels that he posts are phenomenal, and the way in which he articulates so many of the topics, and this is one of them in terms of this brainwashing. And then you heard what I said about the one guy that's saying. This guy William Wolf, that he wants to put Protestant commentators in camps and re-educate them. Okay, well at the same point of re-educating them, they're taking away tools that have been used to fruitfully educate millions of people for a couple of centuries now. That's just insanity, and it's coming from the right. We just have to keep talking about it and highlighting it, because that's one of the tools of fighting is just keep talking about it. They want to shut that down. We have to keep talking about it. And I know Kurt and myself are not going to let that happen.
Yeah. No. So I posted a reel about a week and a half ago about a pastor, Joe Gibbon, who basically said that women need to be quiet, that they shouldn't talk. Then I posted one about another white pastor who said he owns his wife. He married his wife. He gave her his name. He owns his wife. Now I found another one from Joe Gibbon that says that if there's a black man that's in my church and I know that he's come there and he's sin free and everything, we engage in conversation. But in the public, I teach my kids, and other kids should be taught not to approach a black man or a black person and talk to them. So this
because it might rub off.
These are These are the Christian white pastors that are out there in this country spreading this garbage to people, and we've talked about this many times, what this is all about. It's all about white supremacy and the white man being in control. And, when Pam said yesterday, GWP, I was like, hey, give me a call, Pam. Let's have a conversation because, there's not enough of us. Let me tell you, there's a lot of SWPs out there, and you can figure out what the S means, and it's SHI, and you can figure the rest. That's because I know a lot of them. There's a lot of them here in Indiana, and I can say that because I'm a white guy, so I can say whatever I want to about white people. Okay, it doesn't.
Oh my God!
That's what the truth is.
You're in the crosshairs of your own making, and you've said loud and clear numbers of times, I don't care because I'm going to speak my truth. And that, Kurt, that's one of the things that I have grown more and more respectful of with you. It's like, listen, this is the truth that I believe and I see, and you call it out, and this is where I think part of the ball has been dropped, is that people are not willing to call things out real time. And because once it sits out there and it starts to kind of marinate, then people start to believe it, and people start to let it go, and they don't challenge it. And by the time that they're around to challenging it, it's become part of the conversation, and it's normalized. And one of the things that I hope you're proud of is your willingness and frankly calling things out when you see them happen or when you hear about them, so that people can be brought to attention on it, and it then shortens the amount of time we have to put into getting somebody, talking about re-educating, but getting some people out of the cult. By the way, did you hear what Madison Morrison said day before yesterday about she didn't even blink. She did not even blink. Michelle Peltier reminded me of this yesterday. She made it loud and clear that it's a cult. She was not apologetic or excusing. Yeah. Madison said, it's a cult. I'm keeping them away from me. If I lose family members and friends like I already have over it, that's fine. Mm-hmm. That to me was dealing with it real time. That was saying the truth as she sees it and as she hears it.
Where do I start with this? For my entire life, I have been someone who, when I played baseball and basketball, I wanted to be, someone who was, a teammate that others could rely on. Not necessarily the main dude, but I always wanted to be somebody, I was the dude on the sidelines that was always chanting and saying, come on, we're only down 47 points. We can get this done. That was who I was. I was always the one that had an optimistic look on things. And I always felt like tomorrow's another day and we're going to make it better. And, ever since this dude come down the escalator and has come into the political scene, he's ruined so many lives. And when I hear people talk about the division started with Barack Obama and everything, yeah, exactly, it did with you people. It started with racist white people when Barack Obama became president. And, I love hearing you talk about people saying, well, I've got black friends, or I voted,
Didn't that trip you out the other day when I got that text that said, you probably fell out of your chair.
Oh my God! It's like because I've said that to so many people. What? And that makes you not racist because you have a black friend? I mean, what in that?
Or you have a friend that's a member of the LGBTQ community or whatever.
Yeah. I like Polish. I like Polish food. I mean, the stupidity of people is it's unbelievable. But this guy has. He has just brainwashed, and there's been a lot of information that have come out about ideological subversion that started in this country in the 80s, and how this has been Russian propaganda who has slowly ate away at our society, and has preyed on the conservative minds in this country, and has convinced people that the way of life in our country is by accepting Vladimir Putin as a good dude and Joe Biden as a bad dude. And that, people that are different are the enemies of the world. And that, I put out a post the other day. How foolish do you have to be when you have been convinced by a 34-time convicted felon, a criminal who's married to an immigrant, that criminals and immigrants are the problems in this country? What kind of a fool do you have to be to believe that and to understand that? It's absolutely mind-boggling.
Oh, my God. You're listening to Choose Views.
And it is a cult.
You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We are talking to our good friend, Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. And Kurt's reaching back and deep into the ancestry this morning, talking about... Hey, man, one of the things that you've been a big advocate of and really have brought folks to the show, and you've done your part in amplifying, and we've done this together to amplify some of the younger voices, folks that are right there in Indiana. We've been great in having them on. But I sent you the article. I believe I sent you the article on the fact that state senator and someone who is of faith, a pastor that's got it right, is running for the Texas Senate seat, and that's James Tallarico, a younger voice. I think he's 36, 37 years of age, if I got that right. I think that's right. But he's been for a while now. And I first really started checking him out right after the DNC last year, so about a year ago. But he has really been a loud and proud voice in recent months, and even more so in the last few weeks. But he's one of those younger voices, and he is one of those people that, as you said so many times, is changing the narrative when it comes to Democratic leadership. And when and at the 7:30 hour, we're going to have Anderson Clayton on, and she's the DNC head down in North Carolina. But what are your thoughts about State Senator James Tallarico jumping into the Texas Senate race?
Well, I think he's definitely one of the new and up and coming political figures in our country that the progressive liberal movement is wanting to promote and will get behind and support. This is a subject that we could get deep into right now about this, but. James is someone who brings some common sense, and he understands that this isn't about Democrats and Republicans. This is about the top versus the bottom. This is about the billionaires versus the working class, and that's where he's coming from, and that's what everything that he talks about is surrounded by that. And there's a lot of this is where the progressive movement is coming from, and this is where people this is what creates the division in our party. And you and I have different philosophies on this. I'm holding accountable the leadership in our party, and I will always do that because I feel like they have failed us on all levels. And when I've been to over 10 protests in my state, from Indianapolis to Fort Wayne, from Muncie to Peru. I mean, I've been all over, and I talk to people. That's what I do. I walk through and I talk to the common, just the sign holders, and man for man, people want change. They are tired of a Democratic Party who has not been aggressive. And many blame, our past leadership for where we are right now. And I know that you and I, have a different view on this, and I respect where you're coming from. But there's a lot of people that absolutely, it's just like Hakeem Jeffries, okay? He refuses to endorse Zoran Mandani, okay? He will not do it. He will not endorse him. Now, this guy, Zoran, is one of the most popular political figures right now in the progressive liberal movement. And for whatever reason, Hakeem won't get behind him, okay? He will not endorse this guy. And it's hurting him. It's not hurting anyone else. It's hurting Hakeem Jeffries because he is losing respect from progressive liberals because he will not do this. Of course, you know, he's had there have been times where he's done some good things, and then there's other times where you're like, you know, wait a minute. I mean, aren't you the guy that said vote blue no matter who, but yet you won't endorse Zoran? I mean, explain that to me. And, you know, and shortly after he made that comment, if I remember right, he met with like 140 or 50 billionaires from the Silicon Valley to try to, you know, so it's like, you know, and then we have Chuck Schumer, who he made the comment one time, I think it was, my job is to make sure that the left is supporting Israel. Well, dude, that's not where a lot of, you know, the progressive Democratic Party is. So, you know, change has to be made. And, you know, when Schumer voted for the funding 6 months ago, and there was, you know, some others, you know, they got a list of Democrats, and one of them was Dick Durbin, who voted along with this. They fueled the gas tank of this regime. They allowed this regime to keep moving, and this was right in the middle when, you know, when the deportations were starting, when the tariffs were just starting. We were fighting with Canada and Mexico at the time. You know, the Gulf of the United States thing was right. I mean, this was all right there. We could have shut it down right then and there because it needed 60 votes, but we didn't. And I just hope that in a few weeks we have some more spine stand up in our party and say, no, we are not passing, you know, what are we going to hurt federal employees right now from getting a paycheck if we shut the, you know, I mean, you know, they've already fired like 80,000 of them or what have you. So anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to go on a rant there. And
this is my thought on this, and there's a lot of thought, but we've got limited time. Democrats need to step up. There's no question about that. I'll be the first to say that more and more and say it repeatedly. Democrats need to step up. The old guard needs to revisit how much longer they're going to stay in the ring, blocking other people getting in. And there are some old guard thinkers that may not necessarily be chronologically old, but their thought process is old. In this moment, it's not needed. I right now think that both Schumer and Jeffries, given that they don't have the numbers, and I've said this so many times, they need to raise their volume a lot, some might say to me, and they need to be a little bit less. I mean, and I like what others have said in this space: less strongly worded letters and more kicking over the tables and lecterns.
Right.
That needs to happen. You and I, there's no light between us in terms of that. At all. I want more Democrats to speak louder and more forcefully and harder. At the same time, I'm not going to denigrate Democrats who are in leadership roles at the expense of Republicans taking advantage of that. That I won't do. Right. I'll stand on 10 toes on that. I can walk and chew gum when it comes to that. At the same time, the third piece of this is when I look at, for example, Zoran Mandani and his ascent. You know, Jeffries has got a decision to make, and the reason that this is coming at him the way that he is because he's from New York, and Mandami's running for mayor of New York City. So I think that that their goal, and you got to keep in mind too. This is the other part. This is where. You know, we really dig in deep, and we do sometimes have to get into the weeds. AIPAC has got has had so much influence on Jeffries. And that's just a fact.
Right.
And for those out there who hate for me saying that, just look at the details. You don't have to believe me.
Right.
AIPAC has had a huge impact on Jeffries' career. And so the conversation about where he stands with Mondami is being influenced by AIPAC. Let's just, as many other politicians.
Absolutely.
And let people just need to call that as it is. And we should pick up on this if we can again next week. I got an interesting, you're going to like this. I got a text from someone that says, Colin Allred is running for the Texas Senate seat as well. Yes, I know that. And then says, James Tallarico is the left's version of Mike Johnson. We don't need that. Wow. Okay, left version meaning that he's a man of faith. Mike Johnson is off the rails. So to the person that sent the text, Mike Johnson is off the rails when it comes to religion. At least James Tallarico has found a way of moderating and being moderate in that space. But here's the thing. If it's Colin or if it's James that wins the seat, I'm down with that. You know why? Because it's not a Republican that's going to make things worse in the state of Texas. So you know that this is where the people that want to call themselves so-called progressives or so-called liberals or Democrats, they miss the mark every single time. First thing they want to do is talk about something that a positive Democrat is trying to do, like James Tallarico, a younger voice that happens to be a man of faith. So for those who can't have a problem with that, take a look in the mirror and go kiss your grandmother. So
well, and I don't know who sent you that text, but comparing him to Mike Johnson, they have absolutely. I'll tell you this: that text sender, you have no clue at what you're saying. You do not understand what you are saying. You are wrong 100%. Period. So that's my response to them. So
there you go.
The last thing I want to say before we go is the fact that, and you know how I feel about Marjorie Taylor Greene. But the fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene is speaking out more about the Epstein files and the victims of this whole, massive, just unbelievable debacle, more than so many of our Democratic leaders, should open the eyes to many people. Because I don't believe she's coming from a pure place. I don't, but. Did you see what she did? She
I did.
Went into the hall. So, I understand it's political, but the fact that she's doing that, and we have crickets on the, from a lot of people, it's kind of,
Yeah, I'm not.
I don't trust her. I think she's got a different motive here going on. But
this is one of those conversations about who's the GOAT in basketball. We're gonna love each other, but we're gonna disagree on that one. I'm not giving Marjorie one bit of period. I don't care why, and whatever Democrats aren't doing, I'm not giving Marjorie a doggone thing. Because
I know.
her history is more important than what she's doing in this moment, and I'm not taking the bait. Not gonna do it.
I know.
But I know what you mean. But I know what you mean in
Yeah.
terms of Dems have to speak louder, and you and I are in the same car on that. Listen, man, we ran over, but that's nothing new.
I'm sorry.
Don't worry. Don't apologize. Don't apologize. The value is important. We're going to take a break. Kurt, it's good to be with you as always on Wednesdays. Thanks for filling us up with your knowledge and your reels and all the things that you're doing out there and keeping us laughing, man. Appreciate you as we say every week. All right.
Hey, thank you, bud. I appreciate you having me on. And Oscar was the GOAT of all time, okay? So just so you know that.
See, I told you. GOAT conversation. All right, man.
Have a great one, man.
You too. Bye-bye. All right, we're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, WARR AM and 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Still struggling with gas, bloat, constipation, nausea, or diarrhea? Have you tried eliminating foods but felt no change? It's time to call the tummy whisperer, Renee Barish, at Digestive Health Solutions. Renee uses targeted testing to reveal exactly what's happening in your gut. Gut bacteria plays a key role in all your body functions, from cardiovascular regulation to brain function. When the gut is imbalanced, you may experience symptoms that extend beyond the gut, such as anxiety, skin issues, poor sleep, or increased risk for disease. Digestive Health Solution uses advanced testing to identify harmful microbes and evaluate the overall balance of the gut ecosystem. Get insights into your health, digestion, and how your microbiome affects all aspects of your body. Stop suffering. Call Renee now at 847-207-2034 or visit thetummywhisperer.com. That number is 847-207-2034. Let's get you feeling better. The Tummy Whisperer.
It's nice to know someone is on your side. Mark Drugs always has your back. No two dogs are the same. A dosage form or strength of medication that works for one dog may not work for another. A compounding pharmacy like Mark Drugs is here to help you with your pet's medication challenges. We'll be happy to help you when your pet is sick. After all, it can affect the whole family. That's why we give our four-legged patients customized medications to make it easier for them to take. For pet medication problems, first see your veterinarian, then talk to your hometown independent compounding pharmacy, Mark Drugs. If you'd like to know more about the ways we can personalize medication for each individual patient, we'd be happy to help. We are a compounding pharmacy, which means we can prepare the medication prescribed in a strength and dosage form that meets the patient's needs. Ask us how our pharmacy can help. You have a choice when it comes to your health care, and a great choice is Mark Drugs in Roselle and Deerfield, where you get better health and care for you and your pets. Check out the Pet of the Month at markdrugs.com.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Skies will become mostly sunny here for today with a high in the low 80s. Winds out of the southwest around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then for tonight, partly cloudy with a low near 61. By Thursday, sunshine, a high of 82 degrees. Friday, plenty of blue skies and sun, a high of 86. Saturday, a slight chance for showers and storms, high of 88 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 64.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
This is Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. So, always fun to chat with Kurt. Whether Tallarico is the candidate that wins or not, or it's Colin Allred or someone else that raises their hand, this is what progressives need to be focused on. They need to be focused on winning and beating the people that are on the right that are hurting us. So for those who are texting me and saying that James Tallarico is a bad person, or not a bad person, but that he's taken PAC money, all these things, you want to stay with the Republicans that are dragging us in Texas and Florida and other states, that's your business. But I'd rather side with someone like the individual that we have with us this morning, that's our next guest, and has become the current chair of the North Carolina, re-elected, I should say, current chair of the North Carolina Democratic Party, someone that has just been making it happen. Anderson Clayton, chair of the North Carolina Democratic Party, is with us this morning. Good morning and welcome to Choose Views.
Thanks for having North Carolina on today.
Are you there? Can we hear you? Can you hear me?
I am. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can. Y'all can hear us, and you can hear me.
Perfect.
Hey, listen, and I want to do a little bit of an introduction again because we had a little bit of a technology thing. Anderson Clayton is the chair of the North Carolina Democratic Party, and we've been trying for weeks to have her on the show for all the right reasons. And this is the thing that I want to say about Anderson that I've just been observing of. She is fighting for the entire United States of America from the state of North Carolina and making it clear to people that right now is not a time to do anything other than fight. Madison, when I open my show each morning, one of the things that I say is Democrats, shoulders back and chins up and shoulders back. It's time to fight. And you have definitely been a representation of that in your role as the chair of the North Carolina Democratic Party. Talk to us about what's going on in your world. Talk to us a little bit about your ascent so you can kind of introduce yourself to our listeners all over the country.
Well, it's an interesting one, I think, from 2023 when I first got elected into this job to now. So for those of y'all that may not know, North Carolina has got the youngest state party chair in the country right now. I still hold the title. Unfortunately, no one's come to take it away from me yet. I look forward to the day that they do. But we are really excited about the opportunity that we've had to build up a lot of young power in our party, but also a lot of new people that have come to the fold in our party in North Carolina over the last 2 years. And so just to give a little wrap up of where 2024 ended for us too, I know that the federal level was a disappointment for everybody, but North Carolina was the only state in the country that flipped 2 statewide races from red to blue, one with our lieutenant governor's race with Rachel Hunt, and the other is our superintendent of schools race with Mo Green, who also won his race that night. And then we also were the only state that won 6 statewide races overall. So we beat out Mark Robinson, who was an extremist running to be our governor in North Carolina, but down ballot spoke volumes about what I think we were really able to do. And that included breaking a Republican supermajority in our state house. And it also meant keeping a Supreme Court election intact by 734 votes out of 5.5 million cast in an election that Republicans also spent 6 months afterwards denying the election and trying to strip away the Supreme Court victory that we had, because they all know what you just said at the beginning of this, which is that North Carolina's got a plan for the nation and the ability to give power back to the Democratic Party, not just in 26, not just in 28, but looking at 2030 and 2032 and the areas in which that we need to have the long-term planning for how do we take on the South in a way that is effective and realistic to the people that live here, you know?
You know, Anderson, there's so many things that I could say, and so I'm going to start off by saying this. It's kind of an ask, and that is that you come back and be on the show again. And the main reason why is you've got a lot to say, and it's the stuff that people want to hear. And whether they be a 63-year-old progressive or a 33-year-old progressive liberal Democrat. And so I'm going to commit you now to having you back on sometime in this fall where we can talk about progress that you're making. One of the things that so that's a question. Will you be back on the show?
Aye, Captain. Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So what you just said and the many things that you just said highlight what so many people want to hear. I'm just going to get right to it. You being under 30, 25, 26 years of age, and bringing all this energy and bringing all this just sort of we've got to do differently and do better is what so many people are asking for. And it's not just in the state of North Carolina. It's being asked of the Democrats throughout the country. I'm not one to poke Democrats in the eye about what they haven't done right. I'm more of the mindset that says, here's what's not working. Let's stop doing that. And let's find new ways to make things better for our party so that we take back control. So when you hear this conversation, and I know you hear it, that the Democratic Party has got too many old people in it, and I'm not being ageist in saying that, but we got too many, we're acting in too many old principles. How do you go, okay, yes, that's right. How do I make the connection between the younger groups and the older voices and all that's out there? I know that you know what I'm talking about. How do you navigate that? Because you've been elected and reelected as the chair of the North Carolina Democratic Party.
I mean, I think I talk to young people a lot about how I got in this job, to be honest. Like, I ran in 2023 when I ran to be state party chair. No one expected me to win that race. I was running against an incumbent party chair, someone that had been in office. They had been a former state elected official, like a state legislator, and they were the governor's choice and sort of the establishment's pick about who was going to stay in this job. And I ran. You know, a lot of people told me not to. A lot of people told me that I was going to lose. A lot of people told me that it was going to chop off my head in politics or my political career for the rest of my life, and I wasn't going to have one. And I think that for me and for a lot of young folks right now, the desire to do something is bigger than our desire to be something. And I think that the idea of making sure that we feel represented and that our voices are heard, we don't always have to win, but making sure that our voices are in the conversation was something that I was really passionate about. But it wasn't just young people that I was fighting for. It was rural communities to be heard in the Democratic Party. I grew up in rural North Carolina, and I live there now to this day. I didn't move to Raleigh after I got this job. I told people I was going to stay and touch grass. And I think that's important for me to live in communities right now where people do not disagree or do not agree with us on just about anything that we're saying right now. And how do you continue to have conversations with people that may disagree with you on everything, but that you're trying to change a narrative about a party? And for me, that starts at a ground level. And when I won the state party chair job, it was on a runoff ballot. And I told folks, I didn't have the support of any members of Congress. I didn't have the support of my governor or my AG or any of the folks that my state legislators. And what I did afterwards is I went around and I had meetings and I tried to make people understand that I was doing a unity tour, that I didn't want to divide the party. I wanted to make sure that we empowered each and every single one of them to get elected, but they needed help and we needed to get more people elected. And we couldn't continue going on the road that we had in North Carolina. I heard y'all talking a little bit about Hakeem Jeffries earlier, and I think that many people can think whatever they want to right now about him, but the true fact in my mind is that Hakeem Jeffries would be Speaker of the House right now if North Carolina had not been a gerrymandered state and had not had Republicans control our Supreme Court starting at the beginning of 2023. And so I got in this job in February of 2023, and I looked out and I said, where is the place that the party needs to build power? What controls power as a state or in the state and also in the country? And for me, Supreme Court elections that decide how maps are drawn, right? And we've seen this across the country now too, but both state house and state senate and congressional maps, we needed to take back our Supreme Court, which was why the North Carolina Democratic Party had a judicial director that we hired that came into our headquarters, right, in 2023 at the end of it. And we're trying to maintain a priority focus on judicial races, both at the top of the ticket, but also down ballot, because we understand that the power to making sure that we flip back our Supreme Court is also the way to give the nation back power when we're able to do it, because this is how Republicans have weaponized our courts to draw themselves maps that favor them. And especially in the South right now, North Carolina is one of the only states in the next decade, in my opinion, where you're going to be able to look at it and say, we could take a state house chamber in the South in North Carolina, and we could maintain that by also having a Democratic Supreme Court, and that will also give us 4 to 5 more House of Representative seats back for the Democratic Party right now. And so I look at it with, we got to keep going, we got to keep moving, and we've also got to have a plan long term for people to look at, even though right now long term is where people are looking at me going, are we going to make it to 2028? And I'm like, yes, we are, but you decide that right now. That is really what Republicans are banking on, is that people are going to give up, and I need people not to give up.
Anderson, listen, I've said this before when I've had guests on. When you get on a roll about what's right, I stop taking notes and just listen. And I put my pen down and just listened, because what you're saying and the focus. Let me back up. What you're saying is based on you having dug in and done the research to understand what the problems are, and then understand what the solutions can be and should be. One of the big ones is that we cannot let people not be involved. People have got to participate in this process. And rather than those who want to yell and scream and complain about what Democrats are not doing, we can walk and chew gum. We can call out the things that are not working, and we can do exactly what you just said, and that is to come up with workable solutions and present them in a cogent manner where people can go, yeah, that's how we should resolve this issue. That's how we should go forward as a party. And you recognize that, yes, Hakeem Jeffries would be Speaker of the House were it not for a few seats. And North Carolina is one state, but there are others where a couple of seats here and there and the game is different. So this is why every vote counts. You said you talked earlier about, I believe it was the Supreme Court, in terms of the number of votes, how many, how close things were. And this is where people can't be led to believe that their vote doesn't matter, their vote doesn't count. And that's because that's exactly what Republicans want right now, both on a state level and on a national level. They want people to feel disenfranchised. They want people to feel, and you see it in the policies and the executive orders, I should say, from Trump, is that that's all about disenfranchising people, making them feel like there's no hope, there's no reason to participate. That's what the immigration, these ICE raids are all about, is taking away hope. And you said, no, I'm standing in the void. I'm going to be one of those voices that decides that we're going to go in a different direction rather than down this path that the Republicans want to take us. And that I applaud you on.
Well, I think that right now we've got a lot of people that are standing in that path. You know, North Carolina was one state last cycle, and I know there were a few other ones that did it too. Shout out to Iowa, but we contested almost every single state legislative seat in our state, and I know that again, like there were several other states that did that too. But one of the reasons how we did that was that so many young people stepped up and decided that they were not going to let a Republican who had been representing them for 20 plus years in the state legislature go uncontested again. And I think that it's also explaining to people and taking the time to do this, right? Because I know that right now people feel like we don't have the time to, but the more that we can help people understand where their role in the process or in the system of this can be is so helpful. And I think a lot of people sometimes look at the party and they're like, oh God, the Democratic Party. And I'm like, well, you are the Democratic Party. You know, it's like a union, or what they say in unions, you know, like we are the union, we are the party. As much as people want to look up to elected officials to be our party, I'm like, you'll catch me looking down. I'm always the person that says, who is your local city councilor or county commissioner? And most people cannot name me the 5 people or the 7 people that sit on their local boards, but they can name me every member of Congress right now that's pissing them off. And I'm like, you are still doing the wrong thing here. And the ability that we have nationalized politics to the detriment of people getting involved with it is a reckoning that our party is having to go through right now. Because for a long time, the Democratic Party only prioritized federal elections. And I'm like, that is not our role in this right now. We need to be building from the bottom up, the grassroots out, and everything else, because we've got a 37% approval rating. And I don't know how you do that without going to people who do not necessarily think something already about our party right now, which is also high school students. It's young people. It's encouraging folks to register to vote as a Democrat and helping them understand what's the difference between the two, because a lot of people still don't know. And I think that that's also our job right now, to be out there aggressively in communities chasing that.
Without a doubt. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We are talking to Anderson Clayton, who was a chair of the North Carolina Democratic Party. And she just laid out our roadmap, our way of going forward. And you've had a few cool things happen recently. Tell the listeners about Project 100 and what you're doing there.
So North Carolina Dems, we're actually the 3rd largest state party in the country right now. We're the largest state party in the South, which is really exciting, because a lot of times state parties typically in years that we would say are off years, even though we know there are no off years, but years where there may not be a federal election on the ballot for someone. So right now in 2025, we have municipal elections in everybody's backyard this year across 94 counties in North Carolina. So I hope that people are getting out to vote and know who's on your ballot. But you can go to ncdp.org and help you find out who's on your ballot if you do not. But Project 100 is sort of a special program that we dedicated to year-round organizing. And so Project 100 means 100 counties in North Carolina. The Democratic Party wants to have a presence in every single one of them. And we want to be making sure that there are trained county parties, but also people in each community that can help organize folks, can help them, teach them how to knock doors and make phone calls, but also organize on issues in their communities and what needs to be the priority focus of local elected Democrats in those communities too. And so Project 100 has been launching canvases throughout the entire year of 2025. We are going into GOTV, or Get Out the Vote, for those of you that may not know that acronym. We're going into Get Out the Vote mode right now with our organizers, and we have about 6 of them across the state, and they're led by Sarah O'Brien. So Warren County would be Talina Massey is our organizing director out there, and so she's obviously in the northeastern part of the state. And well, actually, Warren County would be western, right?
No, it's northeastern. It's kind of north. It's north and east of Raleigh.
Warren, Halifax, and Northampton. Rodney Pierce represents y'all. Okay, I was like, maybe my math is mixing up on me right now. I was like, nah, you right, Anderson. Keep going with it, girl.
That's all right.
But Talina Massey, though, is she's based out of Pitt County, so she's in Greenville and is our regional organizing director for the Northeast. And it's just, to me, it's what I always wanted as a field organizer on a campaign, I wanted a party to take seriously that we needed to be in communities year-round, and we couldn't just show up 6 months before an election cycle. And I think it's, at least for me, I know it needs to grow. In my dream world, you've got an organizer in every county, right? Somebody that's from the county, a young person, or somebody that knows it well, that can help pull out everybody to vote. But we're still growing that program each and every day. So it is a point of pride for us, though, I believe. And
it should be. And it's in some ways a little bit of a template that can be used by other blue states right now as it relates to getting folks. What it reminds me of in some ways, Anderson, is what Howard Dean, Professor Howard Dean, said years ago about being strong and powerful in all 50 states, being relevant in all 50 states. And let's stop this sort of battleground state conversation, because that's actually contributed, when you match it up with the Electoral College, to us not winning elections on a national level, but it's also really suppressed the activity of folks in state elections. And that's why I like what you're doing with Project 100, because I think it's a template that can be used in other states, and hopefully you're going to be able to have some impact there. As we wrap up, last couple of questions. Right now, the conversation that we are all, sort of talking about is what we want to see from national leadership. But I think it seems to me that you've got a handle on the local the local messaging and why that's very, very important. But if you could talk to our two top national leaders in terms of the House and the Senate, what would be your 30-second or your 1 minute? Here's what I'd like to see you guys do to help us on a state level.
Money. I can tell you less than 30 seconds. I'm sorry. I know that people are tired of hearing it, but I'm like, look, it takes a lot to operate a state party. And I think right now people, if folks saw the amount of money that candidates can raise versus the amount of money that parties do, I just think that people would understand sort of, candidates for the longest time control the narrative and they control the messaging because they control the money. And I think for us, it is about equalizing the power and the opportunity of a party to speak, because I do believe that our party is a democratic party, and we want to be able to have a message that sings right from everybody. And I think right now you have a lot of singular people deciding that, which isn't helpful for when you're trying to really pull together a message that can speak to people across red states, blue states, or purple states. And for us, that looks a lot like maybe coming and visiting the places that are in the South right now. I mean, I've seen a lot of national folks do events and do tours and stuff like that in the Midwest and the West. And I'm like, 55% of Black Americans live in the South right now. Like, no offense.
No, it's true.
And I look at people and I'm like, 55% of Black Americans, not Black voters, but Black Americans, right, live in the South. And the Democratic Party has consistently said Black Americans are our base voters, right? Black and brown voters are what got us here. They're what's going to keep us here. And I'm like, great. Well, if they don't see you investing in their state.
Yep.
Yeah, well, and just not even showing up, investing in their states, right? If you're looking at places like Mississippi and Louisiana and being like, you don't have one congressional race that we'd want to put money into this year, it's sort of like, well, then how do Black voters actually feel like our party is listening to them? And I think that for me is where we need to have a reckoning at a national level too about the map has changed, and also people are moving to the South more and more, and we've got to emphasize that, and we've got to have people that really understand that, I think. And that's not saying they don't. It's just saying that I have yet to see the priority in the terms of resources and money be moved in that direction right now.
Rather than parachuting in, if you're going to parachute in, plant a flag and stick around for a while and help to rebuild those communities, those districts there, state and local, and they're different, so that they are stout and can perform better on a state level in terms of elections. But then that feeds into the federal successes that we need to have. Anderson, it's been great having you with us this morning, and that's why I asked you early in the conversation to look at coming back, because what you're saying is what so many people have been asking for. And saying it in a way that people can grasp and take with them. So thank you for taking the time. How can people find you and follow you and get involved in the work that you're doing?
Well, I was going to say, Richard, you're in Chicago, but you're from Warren County. You got to come back to North Carolina and do one of these live here. How about that?
I am from Chicago. I'm in Chicago. We're from Chicago. We broadcast in Warren, North Carolina, and I will let you know in advance. I'm going to be there later this year, and we will put something together. How about that?
Oh, heck yeah. My Warren County Dems would love that. But people can find me. I'm on every platform. I'm on social media in any capacity you could think of. Blue Sky, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. And it's A. Breeze Clayton. Or you can follow the North Carolina Dems, NC Democrats. And we're trying to make sure that we're putting out more content each and every single week about long-form videos that explain the state of the state right now, because I know that we have so many people that are moving here from places like Chicago and Pennsylvania and Florida and New York who have just come into the state that need to understand a little bit more of our politics and how we got here. So,
Anderson, thanks for being with us. We'll do this again, and we'll put something together for me to be down there to make it work. So thanks for being with us this morning. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. That's it, guys. Took us right up to the edge. Thanks for Anderson being with us this morning. Thanks for Kurt being with us this morning. And thanks to you guys. Take a deep breath. Make your life count. We'll see you tomorrow.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-708-3091. 800-708-3091.